forsaken booth. The truth is you sadly mistaken. Proof I'm better than.
Welcome to 3 Count Commentaries. This is our Clash at the Castle post show. Haha! Oh my goodness! What a show! It was a pretty good show, but why would you do that to Drew McIntyre? What would possess you to do that? Why would you do that? I'm not gonna start talking about Drew McIntyre. You know, we gonna talk about that at the end. Because you're gonna have to do a lengthy segment on Drew McIntyre. Let's get through most of the show first. I don't have a lot to say about a lot of the matches. Match 1, the women's 6-woman tag, Io Sky, Dakota Kai, and Bayley defeat Asuka, Bianca, and Alexa Bliss. It went exactly how I said. Bayley pinned Bianca, no doubt to set up a singles match at Extreme Rules or something thereafter. The Damage Control, that's their name now. That's the name of the team. I don't know if I like that name, whatever, but they have a remix of Bayley's theme as their entrance. I don't dislike it. Don't like it, don't dislike it. The old Bayley chant is back from NXT. Bayley, will you be my girl? Good old UK. Want to bring that one back. Match was solid enough, I guess. Not exactly the hot opener I would have gone for, but it wasn't bad. You know, maybe we could have turned this, rejiggered the match structure a little bit to make something hotter be the opening match, but this wasn't too bad. There's nothing I got out of this that I thought was, there was 2 things that was mentioned, but we'll talk about that a little bit later. The second match, though, Sheamus versus Gunther for the Intercontinental Championship. For starters, they brought back Giovanni Vinci to reform Imperium. Gunther was even wearing black. And I just said, oh, baby. Now, Triple H knows what it likes. That's good. And they kept the name Giovanni Vinci, but they basically put him in Fabian Eichner's position in Imperium. Right decision. Apparently, they're not going to be done with this. But Gunther and Sheamus, my lord, they met expectations. These 2 dudes walked out of that joint, man. It was like Forrest Griffin and Stephen Bonner in that joint, man. I mean, man. See, when you talk about pro wrestling and you say, when you see all these acrobats and all these weirdos doing all these flippity-doo-dah shit, and I'm just kind of like, not all that impressed. These dudes barely did a suplex. There's barely a body slam in this match at any point. There was a couple of wrestling moves in here. A couple. Probably about 10. The rest of it was just these 2 guys slugging it out. The crews fighting at the beginning, I don't know. I think it's kind of silly that they were kind of so focused on each other they didn't notice that their crews were fighting. But it gave the boys something to do, and they basically eliminated each other, because after they did their big spot of Butch Dunn doing I don't know if his name was Butch Dunn, I'm just calling him that, doing the moonsault onto Vinci and Kaiser, it seemed that they all just dissolved in water, they all just disappeared. Nobody know where anybody went. And then what followed was Sheamus and Gunther tearing into each other like 2 wild cats. Like 2 lions. This was tremendous. This could have been the main event. The crowd was molten for it. Both guys had, Sheamus had a huge amount of support from the audience. This match was fantastic. This was fantastic. Sheamus is top tier. Now, I remember I wasn't a big fan of Sheamus in 2012. He was a workhorse, but I wasn't really a big fan because it just seemed like he just white meat baby face, no real character to him. He just won all the time. The great white era of Sheamus. I hated that so much. It was just him and Big Show or him and Del Rio or him and Bryan, just infinitum. And I just didn't think Sheamus was interesting at all. It wasn't until like recent years where he's kind of been doing kind of a little bully thing he's been doing ever since I think the bar broke up. He's been really good. He's been tremendous. You know, and he's one of those guys that I think peaked a little too early. Like they gave him the world title and everything way too early. Like Sheamus should probably be in the world title picture nowadays, rather than I don't think he's won a world title since 2016 when he jobbed Roman out for the belt with the Money in the Bank briefcase, and it was just temporary, so that Roman can win the belt back. And what was that Philly Raw, where he took down Vince and everything. Sheamus should be in the conversation right now to be a top guy. He legit should be. And Gunther will be one day. These dudes really elevated the game of professional wrestling. Basically, they just went out there and had a fight. It had nothing to do with wrestling, to be quite honest. They just went out there and scrapped with each other. Sheamus afterwards looked like a kid had been finger painting all over him. I mean, it was a mess. It was great though. That Celtic cross off the rope spot, man, the crowd was hot for that. Especially since they told it well, with Sheamus not being able to pick him up due to the back. And I would say if there's any weakness to this match, it would be Gunther's power bombs. Like his power bombs look so terrible. They're too soft. He pulls down on them too quickly, and you take all of the bump on your lower back. And it doesn't look like a power bomb. It looks like he's trying to quickly get you up and get you back down with almost no force whatsoever. But that finishing lariat, though, that was big business. I like that he has more than one finisher, too. That was great. But this match, fantastic. This match was awesome. Beyond words, awesome. Third match, SmackDown Women's title. Liv Morgan defeats Shayna Baszler. A solid win for Liv Morgan. She needed a definitive win, and she got one. She won clean. There was no undercutting, nothing out of the ordinary. She hit, I think, a cold breaker, and Shayna bounced off the ropes. Got hit with the Oblivion and pinned. And no chicanery before it, no chicanery afterwards. Just a solid win for Liv Morgan. Okay, cool. She needs that in order for her title runs to feel legit. And are they going to double back to Ronda? I think not, because I think they're probably going to do something where Ronda is going to get punished for screwing around with Adam Pearce, and it won't lead to her immediately getting a rematch. They're probably going to drag that out a little bit more. I wouldn't be surprised if Shayna Baszler didn't get another shot, maybe as she attacks Liv Morgan on Friday. But they did a piss poor job of really building up that Liv was prepared for this. She did do the training videos with Riddle. I mean, Michael Cole mentioned it, but wouldn't people have liked to see that? Liv did an armbar in this match that kind of played into the finish because Shayna Baszler wasn't expecting it, and even though she didn't submit in the armbar, it did some damage. And the psychology of the match is that Liv Morgan's surprise armbar on Shayna Baszler actually affected Shayna Baszler's ability to do the Karafuda clutch. So I'll accept that. Okay, I'll accept that. Solid enough win for Liv Morgan. I don't have any problems with it. I don't like Liv Morgan's offense. I think it looks awful. But I mean, what more can I say? I mean, between her and Alexa Bliss, I don't know who has the weaker offense. The offense is not good. It's just whack. Yeah, I don't know how you could fix it without turning them into luchadors. And they don't even have the, I think maybe Alexa's a little, flexible enough to pull off luchador stuff. I'm not so sure Liv is right now. I think they're better off as a tag team, personally. But I know we're beyond the pale on that one. We're trying to figure out how to make Liv good, or how to make her title run good, or make it over. But she's tied up with Ronda and Shayna right now, and punching above her weight. I don't know, I don't know what we could do so that it wouldn't look too pro wrestling. You know, maybe we'll have Ronda Rousey slap Shayna Baszler and she'll wake up. And I think that'd be a good thing to do, is to have Ronda reawaken the warrior within Shayna Baszler, saying that Shayna's gotten soft. So that was a good start. But I'm saying we need to take it to the next. We need to punch it up a little bit. Because I think the more dangerous her opponents look, the better she looks when she goes over. You know, if Shayna Baszler, who's been positioned as being sort of a jobber, you know, who won a tournament, well, even wasn't even a tournament, it was a gauntlet, because her opponent was exhausted, just seems nonsensical to me. But okay, we got there. All right, Judgment Day. We're defeated by Rey Mysterio and Edge. Edge popped up here with a mask. It was hilarious. I got a kick out of it. It was pretty fun. Dominic didn't seem to have much fun with it, though. And, all right, so Judgment Day loses. That sucks. They always lose. They lose way too much. Edge did a 619, which I thought was very fucking cool. And then the finish was a 619 into a spear by Edge into a spear by Edge from Rey Mysterio. And Finn Balor gets pinned. Earlier in the match, Rhea Ripley had to absolutely destroy skinny fat Dominic Mysterio. Just took his head completely off his shoulders she just kind of muffed him. It was great. Then she picked him up and Rey jumped and kind of torpedoed Dominic and ended up knocking Rhea over, which was great. That was great. This match was really fun. It was really, I didn't like the outcome, but this match was really fun. So Judgment Day, they take another L. I don't know how many more L's could they possibly take. You know, like, I think at this point we're kind of done with them. Like, how could we possibly squeeze more out of this feud? You know, I don't know how we can squeeze more out of this feud. Now, you may say you have to talk about Dominic turning heel. That could, you know, increase this thing. I didn't see Dominic join Judgment Day. You know, Rhea destroyed Dominic. Dominic helped Rey and Edge win. So that's why when he finally turned on them and Judgment Day was laughing, that didn't make sense to me. It would have made sense if Judgment Day had won and then Dominic turned on them, because then it could have been, well, especially if Edge would have been the one that got pinned, then it could have been, hey, we could have won if it was me, but you picked this old guy here and he lost. And then he clotheslined Rey and knocked his ass out. I think that Dominic is not really a good actor, though. Like, you could see the heel turn coming a mile away. The attack on Rey, you could see that coming. The attack on Edge, I think he did okay with that, you know. But the attack on Rey, because he put his hand behind his head, and Rey is like, "Por favor, mi amigo, what's child, mi bambino," or whatever, fuck. And I was like, okay, he about to line him up and clothesline him or kick him in the face or something like that. But he laid that clothesline in. He laid that one in. He must have owed Rey for all the little league coaching he was doing. You know, he was getting on his nerves. He owed him that lariat. But he blasted Rey, and that shit was pretty good. So the match itself was pretty good. I had fun with that. I liked the Dominic heel turn. I thought it was necessary. Having Dom kick Edge in the nuts was real bitch made, and I actually liked it because it fits, you know, the Dominic Mysterio character, you know, where he might be going with this. And having Rey step in and try to stop Dominic and probably pretty much begging him not to do this, once again taking Edge's side over his, and he boom just blasts through Rey, and that was great. You know, that was great. That was really good stuff. And him leaving on his own. He didn't join Judgment Day. He left on his own. He even ripped off his Mysterio shirt, which definitely probably wasn't a good idea to show off the skinny fat body. I'm talking, look at his arms and look at his body. Look at him. Look at the state of Dominic Mysterio. The absolute state of that man. He needs to be sent to NXT post haste. Like, I know Rey I know that Ray, loves his son, but we got to be honest here, brother. He's already wrestling in like full body suits and stuff like that. It's time for him to start developing his shape. And I think he'd probably be a better wrestler if he abandoned the lucha libre style and just went his own way and probably went traditional pro wrestling by mixing in a little bit of lucha libre, maybe maybe a hurricanrana here and there. But being a base hurricanrana wrestler, base lucha libre wrestler probably isn't the best for Dominic. He had to work a style that's good for him. He's not going to be what his dad is. If I had my own ideas, I would definitely have Dominic Mysterio and Legado del Fantasma. I've been saying that for a long time. I pitched that idea, I don't know, 5 months ago. When I thought Legado del Fantasma was coming up a long time ago. I definitely think that maybe Judgment Day believes that he's going to join them, but he's not. He's going to, do his own thing. And that's when we meet, Santos Escobar and all those guys who are telling him also to be his own man. And that there are other legacies in Mexico. He doesn't have to be a Mysterio if he doesn't want to, And I really like that idea. And just, give a whole new persona to Dominic. But first, we got to get the fucking guy in the gym. I don't care about how cool his tattoos look. He just looks like a fucking guy from a homeless shelter. Get him together. You look like a meth addict. Stop it. Stop doing this. But ultimately, I really, really liked how Edge consoled Ray at the end. The crowd reacted beautifully to that too, because Ray was, he's such a good job of acting, and Ray was basically crying as he was laying on the mat after the clothesline. Like, the clothesline didn't really hurt him. What really hurt him was that his son had attacked him and, was going off on his own. And Ray is really great at getting sympathy, because he's so tiny, he's so small. And anytime anything happens to Ray, you just feel bad for him. You're like, little Ray, come on. Why would you do that? And Dominic being so much bigger than him, it actually helps. So Edge kind of gives his old buddy a hug and, rubbed his head like Ray is not a 50-year-old man, So, but it's still heart-wrenching. And the crowd gave it up. Speaking of which, I forgot about this. I forgot to mention this, rather. Sheamus got a standing ovation from his match with Gunther. Well deserved. Well fucking deserved. If anybody deserved a standing ovation, Sheamus deserved it. The way he put his body through in that match, tremendous. Everybody in the locker room should have bought him a beer. He should walk out of that joint so drunk, he wouldn't be able to count from 1 to 2. He should be so fucked up he wouldn't know his left from his right. That's how much, and I hope his paycheck also reflected the damage that he did to his body. Just dude look like he got sunburned out there, all right? That's how badly Gunther beat him. But so far, the show is actually looking pretty good. So now we get to Matt Riddle and Seth Rollins. And before we really get into the match, though, there was an Ariel Helwani interview with Seth Rollins about his real life heat with Matt Riddle, how he really just doesn't like Matt Riddle. And of course, it boils down to Riddle's wife at the time, Lisa, was making comments about Becky and some of the other girls. What he termed body shaming. Of course, I rolled my eyes when I heard it. But he said that basically once Riddle said that he stands by his wife 100%, when she says that he understands, because as a husband, that's kind of what you do. Your wife says stuff and you kind of have to stand up with her. But he also said that this is sort of a continuance with Riddle where he constantly tries to talk himself into better positions. Like, making open challenges to Goldberg or Booker T or Roman or anybody. I'll beat you up for real, bro. I'll tap you out for real, bro. And that kind of shit. And Rollins just kind of didn't like it. He felt like it was corny. Like, he didn't really like how he did business. And I really thought that was, illuminating. And I liked it. I didn't listen to the whole thing. I listened to him talk about Riddle for 3 minutes. 3 minutes and some change. And what he said makes perfect sense. Now, Ariel Helwani, and this is the one thing I didn't like, is when he asked him did you go talk to Riddle about this? And and Seth Rollins is like, no, I just didn't talk to him at all. I had nothing to say to him. Like, he pretty much made it clear when he said he stands by anything that his wife says. He said, well, at that point, I didn't want to do business with him, don't want to wrestle him, don't want to work with him, don't want anything to do with him. And I can agree with that. Like, the guy made it clear. But you could at least pull him aside and say, look, man, at the very least, this is not going to get you, this is fucking with you, It's going to take you longer to get where you're trying to go if this is the kind of attitude you're going to have. And if he flew off the handle or whatever, then shit's going to be what it is. But I don't believe in holding grudges and not saying anything, That's just me, though. But it makes sense because, that shit was annoying. It was super fucking annoying. And guys like Goldberg and stuff like that were getting real annoyed with Riddle talking stupid and how he's going to retire Brock Lesnar and all this other horse shit. He wasn't even on the roster yet for most of that stuff. He was kind of in NXT, still just talking that jibber jabber. Like, dude, shut the fuck up, bro. Also, before we get into the match, which was phenomenal, by the way, David Bixenspan has decided that he was going to root through Matt Riddle's divorce proceedings, take screenshots, and post this stuff online on Twitter. And I want to take a moment, just a little aside. There is no good reason to do any of that. Okay? This is basically, if Matt Riddle was his neighbor, he'd root around in his garbage. He's basically a dumpster diving fucking rodent. A lifeless, loveless, soy-based pussy. What business do you have just going through the guy's personal life? And I've seen people ask him this question. He's like, it's public records. And I'm just kind of basically like, what benefit to anyone is you going through Matt Riddle's divorce proceedings? Which is something that is deeply personal. Got fuck all to do with wrestling. It has nothing to do with anything. What are you looking for? Like, literally get out of his garbage. Like, you're literally obsessing and stalking this fucking guy. He has had a hate boner for Matt Riddle for like almost 2 or 3 years now. It ain't got fuck all to do with it being a wrestler or it being anything important. He just has a hate boner for the fucking guy. And he's looking for something to throw to his, like, I think possums, like pigs, they come eat at the mama pig just kind of lays on the side and everybody else kind of suckles at the nipples, like, puppies and shit. That's how all of his followers are. He just kind of lays on the side and everybody comes. Like, there's no reason for you to even want to know that shit. I don't want to know anything about his divorce proceedings unless some shit is criminal, unless some shit, affects actual pro wrestling business. None of that shit is important. And he's, screenshotting this stuff and putting it on Twitter. Like, yo, like, hell no, man. That's some bullshit. And if you support that shit, you need to look in the mirror and ask yourself why. Why is that shit important for you to know? What are you looking for? Why is it so, like, and he routinely does this shit. He routinely scours people's Facebook accounts, Twitter accounts, constantly looking for dirt. He is an absolute fucking possum, a rat, a rodent. Literally trudging through your garbage because he has no fucking life. There's nothing in there that's going to make or break your fucking career. I promise you. It's just a sad fucking story about a guy who's probably about to lose his fucking kids. That shit is not funny. It's not a game. It has nothing to do with your personal fucking vendetta. You thinking he's a rapist or any other dumb shit. None of that shit got anything to do with this. You're not fucking Perry Mason or Matlock or anything else. Get the fuck out of his business. What the fuck is wrong with you? You fucking rat. Back to business. The match itself, though, was tremendous. Matt Riddle comes in. He's still kind of kind of bro-ish, but he's not so much on the whole Randy. He has a different edge to him now. He's more angry. He's more serious. Seth Rollins comes in and he's dressed like the Phoenix Devil. I didn't had no idea what that was. It had horns, but it also had wings, like Phoenix wings, but it had like horns on it. I'm like, what the fuck is this? Why is this? Why is this? But whatever. The match itself, though, very good. To me, this match should have been the opener. If you'd have started the show with this, like the match was hot anyway. But if you'd have started the show with this would have been fantastic opener, tremendous opener. Seth Rollins wins with the stomp from the second rope. Tremendous, very good stuff. Seth Rollins finally wins a match on pay-per-view. That just means that Riddle lost another match on pay-per-view, but whatever. I guess we're stuck there. Riddle's strikes looked really good too. His shit sounds good because he's like laying it in. So it harkens back a little bit to Gunther and Sheamus, where it's a little bit more physical than the average match. And that was a really good thing, with the exception of the women's matches, of course, is most of the men's matches. Well, let me be specific. The three singles men's matches were pretty physical affairs where you could actually see contact being made, and the punches looked good. And the punches looked like they hurt. It wasn't any of that, weirdo forearm shiver shit. Well, I think you might have got some of that in the tag team match, some of that forearm shiver garbage. Throw a fucking punch. Stop being a weirdo. But this match was very good. And it left room for us to grow because Seth Rollins continued his verbal assault on Riddle, talking about his family and talking about his wife left him and his kids don't want him because he's a loser. That was great. That was really great stuff, really fiery stuff from Seth Rollins. And I thoroughly enjoyed this match. It was great. The main event, Roman Reigns, Drew McIntyre. Drew McIntyre comes out to Broken Dreams, which was played a little vignette for him, going through his life and career and everything. They're really jazzing you up. They're really blowing that smoke up your ass like, Drew's about to win. He's got the heroes welcome as he comes in. Roman comes out by himself. He's a little out of sorts. They even play it early that he's a little out of sorts. He's kind of overwhelmed by Drew McIntyre's strength and his willpower. Drew is kicking out of moves at one to show that he's not even willing to stay down for 1 second longer than he needs to. He's extra motivated. He's really fired up. And then I was like, okay. About halfway through the match, I was starting to waver on I believe Roman was going to win. I was starting to waver. And then I was like, you know what? Nope, I'm going to stick with it. I saw Cross out there. I saw Tyson Fury out there. I was like, okay, so one of these two dudes about to fuck this up. Now, the reason why I thought Tyson Fury was going to fuck it up is because they had been doing, some of the banter back and forth between Tyson Fury and Drew McIntyre since, the last time Tyson Fury was in WWE. They was kind of bantering back and forth. So I thought that maybe, Drew McIntyre would say something to Tyson Fury or whatever and shit would pop off and that would cost him the title. But there was always a bunch of options for, the cost Drew the title. So when once, Austin Theory comes out there and Tyson Fury just absolutely blasts him, which was a great spot because Theory sold it. He sold it so well with the stiff arm and how he like rocking back and forth. That was great. So at that point, I was like, oh shit, Drew might actually steal this joint. Because, all right, now you just taking out the Money in the Bank guy, Cross isn't going to jump the barricade, even though it was a perfect time. He hit the Claymore, bumped Charles Robinson. Things were looking ugly for Roman. He goes against the chair, gets hit with a Claymore again. It's not looking good. It ain't looking good for Roman. So when Solo Sikoa pulled the referee out of the ring, I was like, holy shit, Roman's certainly going to win now. They were not going to debut Solo Sikoa. And Roman was going to lose. So Once I saw that, I was like, hell fucking yeah, Roman's going to win. It's just all a matter of how we were going to get there. And ultimately, the match was good. Physical affair, a big heavyweight championship match, felt like a main event. Drew McIntyre threw everything he's got at Roman, and Roman kept coming back, or he got saved. Of course, it's continuing the bulletproof Roman Reigns thing, which a lot of people are starting to get tired of, which I understand. Like, I understand that some people are just kind of, why can't we beat this fucking guy? I get that. A lot of people are also tired of the Usos getting involved, and they actually swerved you this time. There was no Usos because the Usos can't travel. They can't go to the UK. They got felonies. So they're like, all right, we'll send the one that doesn't have a felony, and he can do the dirty work, which was smart. It was fucking smart. Drew McIntyre's response to that, just kind of looking at this third Uso like, what the fuck? like, are they growing them in labs? They can't possibly be born. There's more of them. But Roman winning was the right decision. Yes, we're gonna have an extensive conversation about whether that was the right thing to do. It was. But to me, the part that bothered me wasn't that Drew McIntyre lost. Again, I've been saying all month Drew McIntyre should lose. I do not care about how hot and ready the Wales crowd was for Drew to win. It wasn't the right time. He's not the right guy. The only reason he was even in that spot is because they were in that country. That's the only reason he was even in that spot. If this clash at the castle in Japan, then it would have been Shinsuke Nakamura in that spot, and he would have got beat too. If it was clash at the castle in Australia, it probably would have been, who's an Australian wrestler in WWE? I can't think of one, but it would have been that guy. He would have got beat too. Like, that's just kind of, no, it wasn't going to be the time for Drew. The time for Drew is past. It's past. They fucked it up with WrestleMania and COVID and everything. And then when they came out of COVID, they still didn't give him the belt. They had Lashley beat him. And then the next year, he still didn't win the belt at WrestleMania. So it's not going to happen. All right. Now we've missed the boat on Drew McIntyre 3-4 fucking times already. Okay. Let's move on. Now, is he dead? Let's talk about that before I start talking about anything else. There's a lot of conversation that Drew McIntyre got the Lex Luger treatment. And it's a reach, but I see why people say that. SummerSlam 1993, you had the Lex Express. You had all of this push, this super push for Lex Luger. Leads people to believe that Lex Luger is going to defeat Yokozuna to win the world title. You have Lex Luger actually work the match, fucking win the match, and then celebrate that he won, but he's not the champion. In this match, Drew McIntyre lost. And then he did a sing-along with Tyson Fury. Look, losing, that sucks, but that didn't kill him. What killed him, what was the fucking dagger in the solar plexus, was the sing-along. It made him, for starters, it trivialized the match that had just occurred. Even though you had Tyson Fury out there, good on you, mate. You did a good job. You went out there, chin up, mate. Chin up. You did your country proud. Like, he still should be disappointed. He should be dejected. I thought he was going to turn heel at this point. I thought, again, I'm still thinking, they were bantering back and forth. They're going after each other. He's going to headbutt Tyson Fury, or he's going to clothesline him, or try to Claymore kick him or something like that, in order to show some frustration that this is not the time for fucking singing and, and all this bullshit. But he went along with it, singing American Pie when fucking Tyson Fury. And I'm just sitting here, I'm stupefied by this. Like, this guy just fucking lost the biggest match of his career, and he's trying to get the crowd to sing American Pie. What the fuck? That is the equivalent of the balloons coming down. You could have done all of that after he won the title. If he won the title, they'd have sung whatever the fuck he wanted to sing. Right? If he wanted to sing DMX lyrics, I've been eating long enough now, stop being greedy. They'd have sung that shit too. They just sung whatever the fuck he wanted to sing. Michael Jackson, Janet Jackson, Jermaine Jackson, LaToya Jackson, they just sung whatever the fuck he wanted them to sing. But those people didn't feel like singing. They just watched you fucking lose. They don't want to sing. They're disappointed. They're upset. And I'm not talking about the two assholes chanting AEW and you can hear them through the hard cam. I'm talking about people with children. They're standing there like, the fuck? You just lost. You just embarrassed the entire country. What are you doing? What are you doing, mate? Did you not grubble up the bangers and mash? What are you doing? You're embarrassing everybody. That's the shits. That's the shits. That's the problem. That's the one fucking thing you cannot do. You cannot trivialize losing. Yes, the character of Drew McIntyre is, all about the good fight. If he'd have lost a good and fair fight, he still wouldn't have sang. He would have shown a little bit of respect for his opponent, and then that was kind of it. This whole, we need to have a sing-along to cheer up Drew McIntyre and cheer up the crowd who are disappointed. No! You can't do that. You can't. That's not going to work, brother. That was not going to work. That was a bomb. Whoever's idea that was, you need to have a stern talking to them. It was stupid, right? And then it went on for far too long, And Drew McIntyre's like, I'm just trying to have a laugh. I'm just trying to have a laugh, mate. Like, who cares? You just lost the biggest match of your life. You got embarrassed in front of your home country. So that leads people to ask the question, like, can you ever take this guy seriously again? And it's a good question. At the same time, though, WWE has shown that they can really get you to believe something is about to happen, yank the cord out from up underneath you, and then come back to it later. Sometimes they don't. Sometimes they do. But they rarely get you to this point and then yank the cord from underneath you. This is almost the equivalent of if Rob Van Dam had lost in Philadelphia. This is almost the equivalent of if CM Punk had lost at Money in the Bank 2011. They got those people to that point. And you'll say, Mongo, what are you saying? You are the one saying that Roman Reigns should have won. Yes, it was the right decision. It was, of course, the right decision for Roman to win. But you don't make Drew look like a fucking dweeb. He loses. You put the heat on Roman because the Uso came out and helped him. And now you're like, Roman can't win without the Usos. That's terrible. He's growing Usos in a garden in order to win. At this point, he's plucking them from anywhere. The moment Drew McIntyre goes out there and he starts singing beer songs, bar songs and shit, everybody's looking at him like, what the fuck? Like, nah, man. No. Now is not the time. We're not having a jolly good time here. We're feeling this right now. We're feeling that we just got embarrassed. There's people who had Drew McIntyre. We love you, Drew, and they put their signs down. Signs on the fucking floor now. They're sitting there like, And you're like, I'm going to sing Bruce Springsteen. Fuck you. Why? What are you doing? You can't do that. That's not going to work. He's not dead, though. All right? Drew McIntyre is not dead. It's going to be hard. They're going to have to really reboot the shit out of him. Because this version of Drew McIntyre might be dead. But I always say it's like this way. There's two ways of being Lex Lugered. SummerSlam 1993, Lex Luger has all of the Lex Express. Everything is set up for him to win the title, and he didn't do it. He failed. But then there is that Nitro episode where he defeated Hogan and won the WCW World title. Huge pop. Everybody remembers it. He lost the belt the next week. And it kind of stole the thunder of Sting. Because Sting was supposed to be the guy who was going to conquer the NWO and win the world title. And here fucking Lex Luger did it before him. You know? Now, the latter, the Nitro, the WCW version of Lex Luger and somebody, we prevented that. The fact of the matter is, Cody is going to be the guy who's going to defeat Roman Reigns and win the WWE Championship. What the fuck did you do? All of this, like all these stats that they've been building up with Roman, all these opponents, all these matches on Smackdown, 700 and some odd days as champion, yada, yada, yada. You snap all of that to give it to Drew for one night so he can get the hometown pop. And then you say, oh, we'll just take it from him the next month. We'll take it from him in 2 weeks. We'll take it from him in 3 weeks. And then put it back on Roman. So now what? Cody he's going to win the belt against a dude who had to chase to get the belt back. It's not the same thing. All right? Now, it's nobody's fault. The fact of the matter is they were going to Wales. They said, God damn it, we got to have our top British guy in the main event. So that's what they did. And they used Drew. And they used him just like the Lex Express. He did all the media. They gave him the special entrance. He had the sword again. You know, he had the entire hometown crowd. He was getting the control of the fight scenes and the run up to this match. They were super pushing Drew. You know, because they wanted you to believe, they wanted you to buy into it. Just to dash your hopes. That's pro wrestling, dog. Sorry, I hate to break your heart, but that's pro wrestling. To get people to believe and to buy into the opponent so people will feel something when he loses. If they hadn't done all that shit and just had Roman Reigns versus Drew McIntyre and Drew McIntyre still lost, people would just be like, oh, well, he already lost to him once already, and that would have been it. You know? They made it something that you want to see. And that it was a dry hump. You got dry humps, fella. But anybody who knew anything about wrestling knew that Cody was going to be the guy who's going to take the belt. Sorry to break it to you, but everybody knew that. If you know anything about storytelling, you'd have known that was going to be the case. You know? From undesirable to undeniable. Versus the guy who they believed in from the beginning. That's the story that they're going to tell. Roman didn't have to struggle. He was great. He was brought in through the Shield and taken care of and given opportunities while Cody had to struggle from the bottom and all that kind of stuff. You know, they're going to kayfabe it up. But why would you break all of Roman's records to give it to Drew and then say, we'll give it back to Roman so he can drop it to Cody? Besides, that's too many jobs for Roman Reigns. All right, that's just too many jobs. That's 2 jobs right there, right? Why? Cody is substantially less over for beating a guy who's already been beaten. All right. If you have a situation in which the guy hasn't been beaten, then that's the better option. The better option is for Roman to lose to somebody he hasn't already beat. He's already beaten Drew McIntyre. So it was the wrong way to do things. And I don't think Drew is dead. I don't think he got Lex Lugered. I don't think that, he can't come back from this. I don't know about how he's going to come back from the singing, but he's certainly not going to be the top babyface from WWE anymore. I think that time is past. That time was in 2020 during the pandemic when he won the title in front of no crowd. When he was the crowdless world champion. That was his time. He will eventually get back to being a world champion, no doubt. But he's not going to be the face of the company. No, the face of the company is going to be the guy who's going to beat Roman. And that's going to have to be Cody. And all the money they spent on Cody, all the time they've invested in Cody, the fact that when Cody came in, business increased, He sold a bunch of merchandise, started selling tickets. Raw's ratings started doing better when Cody was on the show. Why would you fuck that up just to give it one pop in Wales? One pop. Because, I don't know, man. I think people should think about this stuff a little bit deeper than just, oh, it would have been such a great reaction. It's like, still, you know, I think the bad idea was trying to send the fans home happy with Tyson Fury singing and shit. It made Drew look like a dweeb. It didn't make him look like a fun-loving guy. If they'd have gave him a beer or something like that, it might have been a little bit better. Let him guzzle a couple of beers and wash down his sorrows, and then maybe he got drunk and started singing. It might have been a little bit better off, but this, I didn't like that. I hated that finish. Ugh. The match itself, I think, was overbooked. Too many run-ins, ref bumps, you know, excessive finishers and false finishes. It was a little too much. And the match itself, I think, was too long, you know. So I don't think the match was fantastic. I think they've had better matches before. But I did like that they told the story earlier in the match that Drew McIntyre has never defeated Roman Reigns, you know. And now they can tell that story some other time. He can beat Roman some other time. He don't have to beat him this time. I firmly believe that you're going to have a difficult time doing anything with Drew now. He needs to be repackaged. I think you should take him off TV for a little while, personally. Replace him with somebody else. You know, take him off TV for a while, revamp the character, change some stuff up. You know, maybe give him a different look, different presentation, and then bring him back later. Maybe even as a heel or something. But he's probably going to have to finish business with Karrion Kross. You know, but I do think this version of Drew McIntyre, you're going to have a difficult time getting people to buy into it, but he's not dead. Like, you can't get anything out of him anymore. I think they protected him enough with all the run-ins and the secret Uso popping up out of nowhere and stuff like that. All right. Now, there is something else I want to discuss. The new style of commentary. I don't know if you guys mentioned this, or you guys noticed this, but they've got Michael Cole and Corey Graves just launching into these Excalibur-like tirades now about hammerlock wrestling and Irish whip wrestling. And did you guys know that Asuka and Io Shirai were once in a faction together? I'm like, oh, hell no. Hell no. Calm that shit down. Please calm that down. All right. You got Michael Cole yelling about Imperium before Ludwig Kaiser even says the words Imperium. It's just like Excalibur now. It's like somebody who is feeding this guy this information. You can't get me to believe he knew about Triple Tails on his own. He knew about Hammerlock Pro Wrestling on his own. He knew about Scottish Wrestling Alliance all on his own. Come on. You mean to tell me that Corey Graves knew that shit? That Michael Cole knew that shit all by himself? No. Somebody is feeding them this indie horse shit. They're not trying to dump onto everybody. You don't have to do that. You know? Excalibur sounds like a fucking dork when he does that stuff. Michael Cole already looks like a dork. We don't need him start doing dork shit, talking about, you know, hey, do you remember when Matt Riddle was in Evolve and he was in a tag team? He was in a group called Catch Point with Drew Gulak. That was quite the time. I'm like, what? I don't give a fuck about that. That's not relevant to today. It's not relevant to right now. And they tried to make it relevant by saying, last time these guys, especially the ones from the UK, like Finn Balor and Sheamus, who all lost, by the way. Almost all of the UK guys lost. Finn Balor, Sheamus, and Drew McIntyre all lost. I'm surprised, before I go back into my, thing, I'm surprised Becky Lynch didn't make an appearance. I mean, just to even come out there to cut a promo. I think that would have been really cool if you just come out there to cut a promo. Anyway, we don't need them to just dump factoids onto us all the time. Every once in a while to add a little bit of color to, their career. Okay. But I don't think we need to go deep cuts and start talking about Irish whip pro wrestling and, shit like that. I don't think we need that. And like I said, Excalibur always sounds like a dork when he talks about wild shit like that. And I don't want that in WWE. And it seems like Triple H might be paying a little too much attention to AEW and thinking that part of the presentation is good. It's not. It's not. I don't want to hear Michael Cole talk about Team Kick. Mainly because Tegan Knox is not even there. So why are we talking about Team Kick? So I don't. It's a WWE thing, sure, but is it really necessary to discuss it? I just want stuff that's going to be pertinent to this match. Is it pertinent to even this character, this presentation of this person? Not really. I just don't need like some bird brain historian whispering in Michael Cole's ear to yell about some, shadowy wrestling promotion in the middle of nowhere, Europe, where this guy comes from. And they're going to start doing it for the Americans too. And that shit going to get real annoying real fast. It's super annoying in AEW. That's why I'm even talking about it. It's super fucking annoying. Hopefully they don't, go too far with it, but that's that Triple H shit. Loving all on the indies, giving them hand jobs. Stop doing that. Overall, I think Clash of the Castle was very good. Gunther and Sheamus, top notch shit. Same thing with Riddle and Rollins, also top notch shit. Roman and Drew was okay. I think it was better than everything else on the show. Dominic's heel turn, welcome. A little kind of iffy because his dad's team still won. I think he maybe should have turned heel and then left, and then that's why they lost. Whatever. Liv Morgan and Shayna Baszler was kind of flat. It's just, hey, Liv wins, now what? At least the 6-woman tag, it was booked in a way where now we know that Bayley and Bianca are going forward, likely in a singles match, so that was good. That's perfectly fine. I like that. So, all in all, I liked Clash at the Castle. I thought it was a really good show. Some of the matches were too long, but that's modern wrestling today. Let me know what you guys think. Like, share, subscribe. I'll talk to you guys later, man. Peace.